Greetings, Crucible consumers, and welcome to the next Winds of Exchange deck opening. This is going to be the second deck of the display. I've already pre-cut it, so it's pretty easy to get into. There's been a little bit of news in the community as of late. I don't know that there's an official announcement for it yet, but a Grim Reminders game found is visible on the game found. I have a couple of different thoughts on it, but I'll keep the negative ones a little quiet. I think that this is probably the most logistically, sound approach to it, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be nearly as big an ordeal as the Winds of Exchange one is. So I'm excited to see that Grim Reminders is already in the steps. That also has me a little bit of a fire lit under me to get these openings done. So let's get into it. Looks like we've got a gray Archon here. Our token creature is Fish. It's an unfathomable one. And the name of the deck is Dame Dirvac, the Attractive Inquisitor. Interesting. Get a little closer for you. And we've got Sanctum and Equidon. Okay, all good houses. Winds of Exchange, it's hard to find a bad house combination though, honestly. It looks pretty awesome. So we will get this cracked open, and then we will get into the card reveal. Be right back. Alrighty, and we're here ready for the card reveals. We'll set the deck list to the side here. And then our token creature, of course. Fish is probably one of my favorite unfathomable token creatures. 2 power with the destroyed effect, deal 2 damage to the most powerful enemy creature. And that beautiful, beautiful art already breathes intimidation, I think. Alrighty. So we're flipping it over. We're starting immediately with the unfathomable pod. We've got a Flounder Right, 3 power creature with destroyed. Destroy the creature on your opponent's right flank. This is a special creature that gets put into the deck when you have a So Left. So we should see the So Left creature in here at some point. We've got the upgrade Toxicuta Venom. It's got an Amber Pip on it, and this creature gains poison. It's a decent upgrade. Kamalani, 4 power creature with the destroyed effect. Make 2 token creatures. Then we've got Initiation. It's an action that says play, make a token creature. If you have fewer than 4 cards in your hand, archive Initiation. Great, we're already seeing where all that token generation brought the fish into the deck. A second Initiation. Ooh, then Yanti Ghostfin, one of the few cards of the set that actually purges cards. It is a 3 power creature with elusive, and after reap, purge a creature from a discard pile. If you do, make a token creature. It's got the flavor text, Sing My Angelfish of Music. I think that's a reference to Phantom of the Opera, maybe? Very, very cool. Oh, then we've got a really powerful token maker here. 4 power creature, Tamodi the Damned. A creature with play effect, make a token creature. And while you control a token creature, your opponent cannot forge keys. And its flavor text is damned if you do, damned if you don't. Damned spelt kind of like a water dam, like to stop water. Then we've got So Left here, 3 power creature with destroy to destroy the creature on your opponent's left flank. Then we've got the artifact here, Kelping Hands. It's got an Amber Pip on it, and Omni, destroy Kelping Hands. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature gains poison. Great on an unfathomable turn where we're fighting with those fishes, and just fight them into smaller creatures and then kill them instantly, destroying bigger creatures with the damage, hopefully. Then we've got the upgrade Weak Link here. It's got an Amber enhancement on it, and it says this creature gains. While this creature is exhausted, your keys cost +6. Oh, and a great way to keep creatures exhausted. A fantastic rare from the House Unfathomable. It is a 9 power creature, the Chosen One. Instead of readying creatures, they control during their ready card step, your opponent deals 1 damage to the Chosen One for each exhausted creature they control. Very, very good. Ooh, okay, we've got a couple rares. 3 at this point, I guess. The action Thaslophobia, it's got an Amber Pip on it. play, discard the top 10 cards of your opponent's deck. This will be an interesting card going into Grim Reminders, just because right now it doesn't mean a whole lot. The opponent can cycle. Maybe if you know that there's a key piece in their deck still and they're closer to the bottom, you can get it thrown out and they have to just try and dig for it again. But most of the time, it's not going to be super effective. But in the next set, Grim Reminders, if you have 10 or more cards in your discard pile is considered haunted, which will play into a lot of different cards and card effects. And so this is a great way to either force your opponent to be haunted if you need them to, or to, if they're already haunted, force them to get to a point where they're about to cycle their discard pile. Will be a very interesting card in the future. Right now, it's like an okay rare. We're into Sanctum here now with the action Retribution. It's got an Amber Pip and play. If there are more enemy creatures than friendly creatures, destroy an enemy creature. Ooh, then we've got Request Donation, some decent Amber control. It's an action that says play, make a token creature, it captures 2. Got a lot of flavor text on there. Explaining almsgiving to Equidon stalled until Sister Amelia convinced them that goodwill has tangible value. Interesting, that's funny. Then we've got the creature Pandulf the Provoker, 4 power, 2 armor with taunt, and play, enrage an enemy creature. Some creature protection, and then some more Amber control here with Outflank. It's an action with an Amber Pip on it, and it says play, each Sanctum flank creature captures 2 Amber from their opponent. We've actually got the... Oh, Lieutenant Governal is quoted on the card, but he's not in the art. It's just a couple of the Sanctum Red Shroud members in the art there hunting down a Shadows creature. But Lieutenant Governal is quoted, which is the playmat that I have here. It does not a dishonorable ambush. Oh, it's not a dishonorable ambush if you shout, "Have at thee" before you charge. Interesting. Then we've got Muster here. Play, make a token creature. If your opponent has more Amber than you, archive Muster. Great at the start of a turn. Oh, Grand Melee for a board wipe. Okay, this Sanctum's got a little bit of everything for us. Play, destroy each creature that does not share house with at least one of its neighbors. Ooh, then Colonel Mariana, 5 power, 1 armor. Play, each friendly knight captures 1 Amber. Battlefield Evangelist, 3 power, 2 armor. After fight, make a token creature. Oh, Martyr of the Vault, one of the 2 exponential Amber control cards in this set. Wish we had a decent way to kill it outright, but it doesn't look like we do currently. 4 power, 1 armor, destroyed. If your opponent has 7 Amber or more, they lose all but 5. Ooh, and then the Lightbringer Outpost, more Amber control in Sanctum. Wow. It is an artifact with an Amber bonus on it. And says, action, put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck. If you do, a friendly creature captures 3 Amber. Ooh, and then Glorious Few. Play, for each creature your opponent controls in excess of you, gain 1 Amber. We're still going. I feel like we should have reached the end of Sanctum by now, but we've got some more hits. We've got Baldric the Bold, 4 power, 2 armor. Before fight, if the creature Baldric the Bold fights is the most powerful enemy creature, gain 2 Amber. Works in tandem with Fish really well, just because Fish will bring down the most powerful creature to probably a lower power. Makes it easy for Baldric the Bold to fight into him and kill him. Or it'll just make the most powerful creature, quote unquote, a lesser power creature by using Fish to kill off those high power creatures. Okay, that's the last of our Sanctum. Very interesting. I think we really want an exchange program in Equidon here, not only because I'm seeing Trading Frenzy immediately, but just the amount of capture that it had. I really want to be able to push that to the enemy side of the board and say, hey, you know, give that back to me in a second. But what we're also looking for, because I don't believe we have one yet, is a way to kill Martyr of the Vault on our turn. I don't think there's one in Sanctum, but if we could play Martyr of the Vault, and if it's on a flank where it's not next to a Sanctum creature, we could kill it with Grand Melee. So that's an interesting way to do it if there's no other Sanctum creatures on the board. A little situational, but effective. So we want something in here that can kill a friendly creature. Maybe a Forced Retirement wouldn't be bad. We get an Amber. I think that says just destroy a creature. It'll be on the screen though. But here we are in Equidon. It is the action Trading Frenzy, an Amber Pip on it, and play a friendly creature and an enemy creature capture 3 from their opponents. The Old Tinker, some efficiency. A 3 power creature with elusive, and after reap, discard a card from your hand, draw a card. Ornate Talking Tray. It's got an amber pip on it. It's an artifact, and it says Omni, destroy Ornate Talking Tray, make a token creature. Ooh, Generous Offer. This is a great way to destroy Martyr, just because of the way that it's worded. So it says destroy a friendly creature, period. If you do, steal 2 amber. So what we could do is if our opponent is at 7 or more, we play Generous Offer on our Martyr of the Vault. It destroys the Martyr of the Vault, so that effect will trigger, bringing them down to 5, and then we would steal 2 more amber from them after they've been brought down to 5. That's actually amazing. I didn't even think of that. Then we've got Gemcoat Vendor here, 6 power creature with action, steal 1 amber, deal 1 damage to Gemcoat Vendor. And here is Forced Retirement. It does just say destroy a creature. It is an action, play, destroy a creature. If you do, its controller gains 1 amber. It's a good way for us to get 1 amber. 2 of those. Dathashra Recruiter, 4 power creature with after reap, make a token creature. Oh, some excellent amber control here too. This would actually be great after Forced Retirement. Closed Door Negotiation. It's an action with an amber pip. Your opponent draws a card, steal 1 amber. If you do, and your opponent still has more amber than you, trigger this effect again. Oh, and then we've got Auction Off, one of the best artifact controls in this set. Really, some really good trading in Equidon. I still want to see that exchange program, so hopefully that's coming up. But there are a lot of ways that we can control the enemy board by giving them like amber, and then if we can finish all that off with Closed Door Negotiation, I mean, we can really set up some big stuff. Ooh, and then Out Negotiate is awesome. It's an action with 1 amber pip, and it says play, choose a card in your opponent's discard pile, steal amber equal to the number of amber bonus icons on that card, and put that card on the bottom of its owner's deck. So you kind of give it back to them later to steal that amber from them now. Oh, and then an excellent closer card here, Corner the Market. It's an action that says play during your opponent's next turn. They cannot play cards, and each time they discard a card from their hand, they may archive that card. So they can't play anything, but they can archive it for a bigger turn later. But I mean, this is a great, great deck for just really turning things around on somebody. We could, just a quick train of thought before we get into the deck breakdown. I'll talk a little bit more in depth about the numbers we're looking at, but we could say they're at like 7 amber. We play Generous Offer onto our Martyr of the Vault. That brings them down to 5. And then we steal 2 from them, and then so they're at 3, but then we Forced Retirement 2 of their creatures to get their board state a little bit more cleaned up, so they're back at 5. And then we could auction off one of their artifacts, so they'll be at 6 at that point. But then we get to play let's see, Closed Door Negotiations, so they're drawing cards while we're stealing till we balance out, and at that point they're probably, I don't know, maybe 3-2 amber, but then we can do our Out Negotiate, put something on the bottom of their deck and steal the rest of their amber, and then we corner the market, and their board state's basically empty, no artifacts, almost no creatures, if any creatures at all, and no amber, and they can't do anything for a turn. That would be, this Equidon really, really holds it out, and the Sanctum can kind of hold us off to those late turns. We've got the control from Unfathomable. This deck seems really interesting, really, really fun to play. Sorry for my rambling. I hope my insight helps. I will be right back with our deck breakdown. Alrighty, now we're here with the deck breakdown. We'll go ahead, and there is the SAS score. 67, not bad. I expected it to be a bit higher. What I find really interesting is that meta score is, it's -1. But what it comes from is a -2 in board clears and a +1 in scaling amber control. What's really strange is it doesn't count Grand Melee as a board clear, which I thought it would have. So I'm not sure. I think maybe that meta score should be +0 instead of -1. The anti-synergy there comes a lot from our creature count. So as far as creatures go, there are a lot of cards within Sanctum that want us to have like a low creature count. Things like Glorious Few, Grand Melee, Retribution, stuff like that. But then there's things like Outflank that benefit from having a low creature count as well, just because you can keep the Sanctum creatures kind of on the side. But I think some of that is off-put by the fact that a lot of it is Amber control. Glorious Few, obviously, it'd be better if we had less creatures, but I mean, we can hopefully play it before we get into our Sanctum creatures, which is, I think, where a lot of our creatures come from, though our creature count is a bit above average. And with all of the like capture and everything that it does, I don't know, I feel like if you have that in mind, you can kind of reorganize your board state. So that anti-synergy, I think maybe, personally, this could have been a low 70, or if it's piloted perfectly. I think that Equidon, and there's just a lot of it, it does a little bit of everything in a pretty awesome way. There is our extras and counts. So we've got 12 Amber Pips in the deck. Kind of wish that was more. That only comes up to about 2 keys if it goes untouched, but there's ways to control and get that amber back. So then as far as our counts go, we've got 17 actions, which is a good bit above average. We have below average creatures. Is it saying we have a low creature count on these anti-synergy? Yeah. I'm not sure what it means by the anti-synergy, because it's in spots it's like, oh, you have a low creature count, which sucks, and then in other spots it's like, oh, you have a high creature count, which sucks. I think that creature counts are also weird in this because of token generation, so maybe that's what it's considering, is the fact that we can make a decent number of tokens. Either way. We've got 17 actions, which is a good bit above average, 14 creatures, which is actually a little bit below average, 3 artifacts, which is awesome, 2 upgrades, and then 2 scaling amber control from Closed Door Negotiation and Martyr of the Vault, which is just so good. And it looks like that is it. No board wipes, which I think Grand Melee should be one, no key cheats, no archives, and about 13 token generation. We'll clear that away. And here is our Amber and Control section. We'll start digging in. First thing that you'll notice here, our Amber Control is pretty big, but our expected Amber is small. A lot of our expected Amber outside of pips actually comes from stealing an Equidon. So I don't like, trying to load all of the pips into this section or anything. So the tail end of this control section you'll see actually could also go into expected Amber. But I think stealing while growing your amber is big. I think most of the time just the fact that you're taking it away from your opponent is a little bit more important than you getting it. The weakest card here we have, ironically, is Weak Link. But I think with the Chosen One, we can actually see some decent use out of this. Then we've got Gymcoat Vendor for additional stealing. Outflank for some capturing. Out-negotiate, which we talked about earlier, kind of cycles the card, but it might be worth it, especially if it was just after like a Thalassophobia or something on a turn before and they're about to cycle. Trading Frenzy for some more capture. Lightbringer Outpost, some great repeatable capture from an artifact. Request donations, putting 2 amber from our opponent on to a fish. Colonel Mariana, we have a decent number of knights. Let's see if I can't actually count them real quick. So we've got Pandolf, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like that might be it. Yeah, 5 knights, including Colonel Mariana. So I mean, that's 5 possible amber captured on different creatures. Not bad. Then we've got Closed Door Negotiations for the stealing, but our opponent draws, which, again, the Thalassophobia has a purpose in this deck. It's weird. I think I would have to play a few games with it to figure it out. But there's weird ways to force your opponent to cycle or to do things that you have, like, inadvertent control over them. Timoti the Damned, stopping a key for a turn, if not more, if left untouched. We've got Generous Offer, some more stealing. Martyr of the Vault. Martyr of the Vault is also huge because if we can auction off or Grand Melee a bunch of creatures like before Martyr of the Vault and kind of force that amber into our opponent and then kill off the Martyr of the Vault somehow, then we can just be like, hey, here's all this, 20 amber I've been holding on to, and it's all in the common supply now. So this definitely seems fun to play, which is a huge theme in Winds of Exchange. I think every deck has its merits in a super unique way. It's made sealed at locals super fun. Our expected amber is Baldric the Bold. Just him. We have a lot of steel in our amber control that you just saw that translates to expected amber, but Baldric the Bold is going to be that outside of it, and of course our amber pips will be a big part of it. But I think Baldric the Bold combined with fish has a real chance of doing some damage. Then in our artifact control, we've got Auction Off. Great way to purge from play an artifact. I mean, just really, really fantastic. It get some key artifacts out of the way. And if this is sitting in your deck, I mean, you already won't have to worry about Ettin's Jar, just because you can, you have to either name Auction Off or eventually I'm going to purge your Ettin's Jar. Makes for very, very interesting games. Then in creature control is a hefty but weird. So you've got Toxicute Venom for giving poison. That might be great on our Baldric. Helping Hands to give everybody poison for a turn. Pandolph the Provoker because it enrages an enemy creature. So Left for destroying a left flank. Flounder Right for right flank. Retribution, which honestly more often than not looks like it'll be just an Amber Pip unless we're going against a token crazy deck or something weird from Mass Mutations. Grand Melee, which again I think should be a board wipe. Forced Retirement, 2 of those. And then Chosen One. Real fantastic stuff. I love Chosen One. There's so many interesting things you can do with Chosen One. The natural effect is great, right? Just because if the Chosen One is at 8 damage and your opponent ends the turn and they have like 10 creatures, none of those creatures end up readying. Just because all 10 of them would be considered exhausted, so it would do an instance of 10 damage to the Chosen One. And so all of them would stay exhausted and the Chosen One dies, even though it only had 1 kind of health remaining or power remaining after that damage. But if you can find ways to bounce the Chosen One with like Sandhopper, where you pick up Chosen One and then play Chosen One again, or things just to keep it kind of refreshing, ways to heal it or something, this card can get out of hand in Winds of Exchange. Then we've got our token generation pool. So these are all the token making cards that did not exist in one of the other piles. Yuan-Ti Ghostwind being our weakest and unfathomable, but it can purge creatures, so it's probably worth it to go into if your opponent's got a deck based around a very specific creature or something. Both of our initiations and our Kamalani. Then we've got Dithoshra Recruiter, Ornate Talking Tray, Battlefield Evangelist, and Muster. So not bad. And there was some token making in the previous cards as well, so I think there's a lot of ways that we can see our friendly little guy here. Very dangerous. I think a lot of the self-destruct from things like Grand Melee or Forced Retirement or Generous Offer, whenever you have a token creature with a destroyed effect, so Prospector or Fish, it really just, it's like, oh, okay, I have to kill one of my things that wants to die to get a benefit. Fine by me. Makes for some really, really fun decks. And that was Dame Dirvac, the Attractive Inquisitor. We've got one other section to look at. We'll get rid of the Amber control. And here is our speed and board. Speed is interesting. It was only brought up by the old Tinker, so 0.5. Our board state is weird. We've got a decent number of high power creatures with Pandolph and Baldric and Battlefield Evangelist, Gymcoat Vendor, Colonel Mariana. But it gets knocked down by Generous Offer, Grand Melee, and Lightbringer Outpost, all of which either cycle or destroy our own cards. Recursion with Lightbringer Outpost, which is interesting. I never really thought of it as recursive, but you are putting it on the bottom of your deck to cycle back. Then we've got Creature Protection in the form of Pandolph the Provoker because of Taunt and Toxicute Venom, making people not want to fight into it because it's got poison. Then we've got Disruption from Corner the Market, Yuan-Ti Ghostwind, Auction Off, Out Negotiate, and Closed Door Negotiation give us negative disruption because our opponent is cycling a high Amber Pip card or is drawing cards from them, but they come with their own kind of payoffs. And that's it. A very, very interesting deck. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. I think it's super fun to play. If you've been playing Winds of Exchange at locals or even just online, let me know how you've been enjoying it, what your experience with Winds of Exchange has been so far. I'm absolutely having a blast, and I just can't wait to get more KeyForge, to get through this display, and hopefully soon we'll hear something from GG about OP. I really want to set up in-person events and get stuff going for locals again, get some posters up and stuff. So it'd be awesome if they could come out with some of that news soon. I hope you guys liked it. If this is your first video, thank you for making it to the end. If this is not your first video, also thank you. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of these. And remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person sitting across the table. You guys have a great rest of your day.